Welcome to Unit 3, Lesson 5, Vertical and Horizontal Lines. All right, guys, we kind of been hinting and working with vertical and horizontal lines so far. So let's actually dive deep and have one whole lesson about them. So what's a vertical line? Well, a vertical line is always written in the form x equals a, where a represents that line's x-intercept. So now we see that a vertical line actually has an equation, and that equation is x equals a. So x equals a number, and that number a is the line's x-intercept. Okay, so if we take a look at this line, that value, that x-intercept is 3 or 3 comma 0. Oh, let me get my pen. 3 comma 0. So the equation of that vertical line above is x equals 3. Now a horizontal line, and I don't know if you were able to see that line, but it's right here. Okay, so a horizontal line is written in the form y equals a, where a represents that line's y-intercept. All right, so here's that horizontal line in question. Okay, and that y-intercept of the line that's right here, which is the ordered pair 0 comma negative 1. So the equation of that horizontal line is y equals negative 1. Notice that the equation of the horizontal line is only a y equals with a number, no x involved. Notice how the vertical line's equation is x equals a number, no y involved. So this is an equation with all rise and no run, and here is all run with no rise. So all x's and all y's. And my x is consistent the entire time. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. So 3, 0, 3, 1, 3, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4. Here my y's are consistent the entire time. Okay? 0, negative 1, 1, negative 1, 2, negative 1, 3, negative 1, and so on and so forth. Remember, if the line intersects the x-axis, if the vertical line intersects the x-axis, it's an x equals a. And if it intersects the y-axis, that's y equals a. Okay, so our x equals, those are our vertical lines, and our y equals, those are our horizontal lines. Now let's connect this back to our conversation about slope. Back when we were talking about slope, we talked about vertical lines having a slope that is undefined because it is all rise and no run. So all rise and no run is undefined. And horizontal lines, let's see if you remember here, they have a slope of 0 because they are no rise and all run. So no rise and all run, that gives us a slope of 0. So you've got on this page everything you need. You've got vertical lines, right, with their equation being an x equals equation and their slope being undefined. Horizontal lines, their equations are y equals a number and their slope is always 0. So let's take a look at these 6 problems. I highlighted the line because sometimes it's hard to see with all like the black ink. So I highlighted the line and we're writing the equation of the line shown below, and we're going to go ahead and identify the slope as well. So number 1, that line is an x equals, because it's vertical, so that's x equals, that's negative 2 right here at its intercept. X equals negative 2, and the slope, since it's vertical, is undefined. Number 2, that's a horizontal line, so it's a y equals line. We're looking for that number, that intercept, which is 1, 2, 3. That's y equals 3. That's the line, y equals 3, with a slope that's equal to 0 because it's horizontal. Number 3, that's also a horizontal line, so that's a y equals a number line. And that y value, that intercept is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is negative 5. And the slope of a horizontal line is always 0. Number 4, that's an x equals line. Number 5 is also an x equals line. And number 6 is a y equals line. Okay, so vertical, vertical, and horizontal. The intercept for number 4 is 4, so x equals 4. And that slope, guys, is undefined because it's vertical. Now, number 5 is on the y-axis. And so what is that intercept? Well, that intercept is 0. So that is the line x equals 0, which ends up being the y-axis. And that's just what it's called. The line is called x equals 0, and that slope is undefined. And number 6, we have a horizontal line. So that intercept for that horizontal line is y equals 2 with a slope of 0. So for the next set of problems, you will be graphing them yourself. So I'm going to graph the odds and you will graph the evens. So number 7, we have y equals 5. That's a horizontal line. So that's horizontal line. And it's a horizontal line with an intercept at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, an intercept of the y-axis because it's horizontal. And that is a horizontal line through y equals 5, as straight as I can get it there. And that does have a slope equal to 0. In number 9, it's an x equals 3, so that is a vertical line. And that vertical line is going through x equaling 3, so let's find an x3 that's right there. That's x equals 3 with a vertical line going through x equals 3, and that slope is undefined. And for number 10, we're graphing a horizontal line, y equals 4, that is horizontal, and it's going through y value, y equals 4. Okay, so horizontal line through y equals 4, and that slope is 0. So using those as guides, you can graph 8, 10, and 12. So let's take a look at 13 through 18. We've got some questions here to think about. What is the slope of the line y equals 4? Well, you tell me, what is the slope of the line y equals 4? Slope of the line y equals 4 is slope equal to 0 because that is a horizontal line. So what about number 14? What is the slope of x equals -2? That is a vertical line. What's the slope? The slope would be undefined. What is the slope? Let's look at 15. What is the slope of the line x equals 0? Well, x equals 0 is a vertical line. So what would the slope of that vertical line be? The slope would be undefined. Now, which axis is y equals -1 parallel to? What does it mean to be parallel? Well, parallel means you're going in the same direction, and the two lines will never cross. Parallel means going in the same direction, and the two lines will never cross. So which axis? Is y equals -1? It is a horizontal line. Is it parallel to the x-axis or to the y-axis? Graph it if you need to see it. Is y equals -1 parallel to the x-axis or to the y-axis? It's parallel to the x-axis. What about x equals 4? That's a vertical line. Which axis is that parallel to? That's parallel to the y-axis because it's a vertical line. Now, number 18 is a great question. How does the graph of y equals 3 differ from y equals 3x? Well, first thing you should notice is that this graph does not, y equals 3, does not have an x in it. So that means that this is simply a horizontal line through y equals 3. So let's graph that. 1, 2, 3. And here's the graph of y equals 3. How is that different from the graph y equals 3x? Well, this is not a horizontal line. This is in slope-intercept form, y equals 3x plus 0. This has a slope of 3 and a b or y-intercept of 0. And because it has both y and x in it, it has rise and run. That's not 0 or undefined. It's going to have an actual slope value that's not 0 or undefined like vertical and horizontal lines. So we start at our y-intercept of 0 and go up 3 and over 1 to get our next point. And there's our line y equals 3x. Okay, so to explain, y equals 3 is a horizontal line through 3. Notice how the equation only contains y, which shows that it's a horizontal line and it has a slope of 0. And that's different from y equals 3x. Y equals 3x has y and x in it, which means it's going to have a slope that's not 0 or not undefined. That means it's not vertical or horizontal. It will lean. It will have a slope, an inclination. And so we graphed it to show that the line y equals 3x is modeled by this equation right here. If you have any questions, go ahead and answer them at the end. Thanks for watching. Thanks for learning.